Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
Jane Austen once said, "I hate to hear you talk about all women as if they were fine ladies instead of rational creatures. None of us wanted to be in calm waters all our lives." In the 1800s, women were seen as less superior and weaker to men. They were labeled as the moral keepers of society, as well as non-working housewives. During this time period, women's sole purpose was simply to be an object of beauty. By the early 1800s, women were ready to branch out from their families and make an impression on the world. Numerous women's organizations were formed, some social but many bound on doing social work. In 1815, the female seminary movement began. The leaders were Emma Willard, Catherine E. Beecher, Zipporah Grant, Mary Leon, and Joseph Emerson. They intended to improve the quality of women's education. The seminary movement proved that women had minds capable of serious study and opened the way for women to teach and manage institutions. This was an important step towards equality for women.
Women took a stand for their rights through the women's rights movement, which took place during the years 1848 through 1920. All throughout the women's rights movement, women came together from all over the country and fought for their rights and equality. In 1848, the first Women's Rights Convention was held in Seneca Falls, New York. During the convention, 68 women and 32 men signed the Declarations of Rights and Sentiment, which was written by Elizabeth Cady Stanton. The declaration called for equal treatment of men and women, in which Elizabeth wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal." In 1850, the first National Women's Rights Convention took place in Worcester, Massachusetts. This national convention attracted more than 1,000 participants. In 1869, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony created the National Women's Suffrage Association. Their main goal was to get voting rights for women. Finally, in 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was created, which granted women the right to vote.
In 1935, Mary McLeod Bethune organized the National Council of Negro Women, a coalition of black women's groups that lobbies against job discrimination, racism, and sexism. Later, in 1966, the National Organization for Women, also known as NOW, was founded by a group of feminists, including Betty Friedan, the largest women's rights group in the U.S. NOW continues to seek to end sexual discrimination, especially in the workplace. In 1971, Miss Magazine was first published as a sample insert in New York Magazine, and 300,000 copies were sold out in 8 days. The magazine became the major forum for feminist voices, and co-founder and editor Gloria Steinman was launched as an icon of the modern feminist movement. Then later, in 1996, in United States versus Virginia, the Supreme Court ruled that all male Virginia military school has to admit women in order to continue receiving public funding. It holds that creating a separate all-female school would not suffice. Finally, in April 2015, Hillary Clinton becomes the first female presidential nominee of a major political party in U.S. history. Sadly, Hillary Clinton loses the presidential election to Donald Trump, but continues to encourage young girls to follow their hearts and assures them that there will be a female president someday, and her accomplishments will not go unrecognized.
And to all the little girls who are watching this, never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams.